Why the Liberal governments continue making housing unaffordable. Look, this is not supposed to be a shade at a government, but I'm going to go through kind of what has happened in their tenure so far and why a lot of people are saying critics call out a lack of measure in the federal budget to push down the high cost of housing, because it's not a good sign of what they plan to do with this new updated Canadian budget for 2023. It's not going to be pretty. And if you're looking for some help on how to navigate this real estate market and try to understand what some of these big term macro trends may mean for you and your decision to buy, sell, or invest, you can book a call with me using the link that's right here. It's www.chatwithzen.com. Simply click on the date and a time that works best for you. And then when you see the prompt, fill in your name, email, mobile phone number, and the question you have for me, and then we'll chat then. Good day, Toronto. Welcome to another episode of Prime Properties TV. My name is Zhen, and I run and operate a RE/MAX in the Greater Toronto Area, on top of making awesome educational real estate content like this one for you. Now, if you do like our content, make sure you like and subscribe, because it's an unspoken rule that if you like my content, you like and subscribe. Now, the first article we'll be covering is critics call out a lack of measure in the federal budget to push down the high cost of housing. I don't want to get overly political on this one, but I would say the Red Party has done a pretty crappy job since they've been around for what housing is going to look like. But here are a couple things that they're really under fire about right now, right? So what's in the budget for housing? Because I think for our generation, the millennials, it's a really big problem right now because housing is very unaffordable unless you, for lack of a better term, have rich parents, right? So they say right here that one of the new changes, and I've spoken about this before, is the first-time home savings account, which effectively works as your RRSP, and it works now with HPP. It's been confirmed, and I kind of go through that, and you can click on the link up here. The second one they have here is that they're allocating another $4 billion over 7 years, starting next year and the following year, for development of urban, rural, and northern Indigenous housing strategy. Great. At the end of the day, what's it going to do for you and I, who's probably in Toronto? Nothing. Let's be real, because I'm pretty sure they allocate $10 billion in the last 7 years and it's gone nowhere, right? Now, when we go into the actual budget, which is what I have on the screen right now, the first thing I'm going to call out for you, which is rather ironic, is that an affordable place to call home. So this is currently what they're saying, that the expensiveness of the country is undermining the financial stability of the entire generation of Canadians. The Liberals have acknowledged it. Now, here are all the things they want to remind you that they have done to date about what they have done for making housing affordable. And I'm going to draw your attention to, and this is kind of why I didn't want to sound too political, but remember when we voted him in September 2015, and he said that he's going to make housing affordable? Cool, not a problem. Look where prices have gone. It is 2015, the prices were about $622,000 in Toronto, GTA. It is 2020, and this doesn't include the peak, which was 1.3, but we ended after 2022 at $1.19 million. Yeah, I think the pricing has doubled under the Liberals, so cool about what they have done. But what they're planning to do now is launching this new first-time tax-free savings account, which I talked about. It's geared towards millennials of my generation. And the idea here is they can give you up to $40,000. You get $8,000 per year you can add to it. And effectively, it works like the home buyer's plan. And now you can combine the two of them, which is great. The problem I have with this is, as a millennial, if you are struggling with inflation, paying rent, you don't have the parents helping you with the down payment, where are you going to get the money to put into this savings account to help you get that deduction and save for the first home? Yeah, if you really think about it, it does nothing. But for those who can take advantage, I think it definitely kind of helps out. But at the moment right now, it's not going to help anybody. Not going to help anybody. And the second thing that I want to point out that they did is a code of conduct to protect Canadians with existing mortgages. What does that mean? I'm going to tell you right now. It's kicking the can down the road. So they have right here, they're saying that Canadians have the right to explore with their mortgage lender mortgage relief options that will help them stay in their home. And we go in here, which includes by extending the amortizations. Told you it was going to happen at some point. They were already doing it behind the scenes, but now it's out and about, right? And they're allowing you to adjust payment schedules, authorizing lump sum payments. Great, I don't know where everyone's going to have the money for lump sum payments. And existing mortgage regulations may also allow lenders to provide a temporary mortgage amortization extension even past 25 years. So there you have it, officially in the Canadian budget of kicking the can down the road. And this is kind of why the Liberal governments are probably propping up the price of real estate. So what this means is what was happening in the background when people were financially struggling. And I'm going to go back into the pandemic days where everyone got that 6-month mortgage deferral, and you really just had to like check a box or I think call them in to get it. I don't remember it, but it's like a while ago. But everyone got it. And if you couldn't make the payment 6 months afterwards, you could tell them and show them you had some financial distress, and then away they go. They actually help you. Now, currently in the last 9 months or so, people who have been hit by trigger rates, trigger points, if they've been able to show some financial distress, what the banks are allowing to is they're working secretly in the background to help them stay in their homes so that there's not as much power of sales right now. Because I've been saying before, the power of sales are coming from a lot from the B lenders and the privates, because that's a whole different space. But under the regulated OFSI banks, so the big five, a lot of them are kind of in the background helping the homeowners right now stay in their home by extending it. So if you bought a home with less than 20% down and you had CMHC insured, your amortization was 25 years, and they've been allowing people to do 40 years through different programs if you're insured. And now they're doing it over here with most of the other bank programs. And I've already heard of other clients who they just call their banks and say, hey, can I convert this to interest only, or can I stretch it back out? And the banks have been very, very reasonable. So this tells me interest rates haven't really affected the market as much because prices have been stable from July until now. And if anything, they've gone up a little bit, and more on that on the Market Watch on Thursday. But you can see there isn't stress that's going to be pushed and forced onto the homeowners right now because the Canadian governments are backstopping. And that's kind of why it's kind of a big problem for if you were trying to hope that prices are going to come down. So where do I honestly think prices are going to be in the future? If you backstop the interest rates where prices aren't going to come down and have discovery downwards because people aren't forced to sell, and this is also a reason why we don't have that many new listings right now, because the quote unquote high interest that people are paying right now is being backstopped and the can's kicking down the road. That is preventing it. Number two, they're not providing any kind of solution for building more homes right now, other than I think the Ontario government, which has to build better, faster, which will help, but I don't think enough, because the same government are allowing 1 million immigrants to come in. So barring a massive, massive big time recession where people are going to lose their jobs and you can't even make these payments after they've been extended and re-amortized, then I really think we're probably going to get some kind of Toronto real estate rally in the next 3 to 5 years, because the government is basically just setting it up for that. Now, if you really think about kind of what's ultimately happening is the government are allowing tons of people to come in, right? Millions of people. They are backstopping anyone who made a bad decision on their mortgages by allowing them to re-amortize. So they're keeping the market afloat. Where the risks are coming right now is potentially a recession, a really big one where people are losing jobs. Can that happen? Absolutely. How big is it going to be? We have no idea, but all kind of like indicators are saying that we should be coming up to one. But if the recession happens, are there going to be mortgage deferrals kind of like what we had during the pandemic? And then the next risk that we should be coming up on is probably the 2024, 2025 mortgage renewals, because if the market doesn't come back up to kind of where some of the people bought these homes for, they actually have no equity to re-amortize unless they're allowing them to go to 40 years, which some banks have already allowed for. So there's already kind of like a couple things you can look into what the government has been planning to do to kind of backstop the real estate market. And look, I could be completely wrong, but everything set up here right now looks like there's going to be some kind of rally in the next few years, like in the medium to long term. And again, no one can predict it, but there's already policies in place to kind of prevent it from going down anymore. And that's kind of what I'm saying. Are the Liberal governments forcefully keeping the market afloat or keeping prices unaffordable? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, here's some other comments that people have about the federal budget. The funny thing is the public sector has grown by 31% in the 7 years that they've been in power. They've added 80,000 new employees, which is a lot of people. And then the last thing is that the debt has been almost doubled from 612 billion, that's with a B, to 1.2 trillion. And that deficit isn't going to get any smaller because they're giving like a third of the Canadian population, if you have a low income or a certain amount of kids, an inflation adjusted grocery amount of up to like $500. I don't think that's really going to go anywhere. If you've gone grocery shopping, I think that barely will last you a month. So this is just kind of piling on to the deficit, and it's just a lot of like money being handed out, and it's not really fixing what's at the core, where we need to stimulate housing and reduce immigration, and then not backstop a lot of these bad loans that the banks are basically preventing the market from collapsing. So that's how we're going to have some kind of like affordability revert back. But the problem is, like, as a person who is a Canadian and also someone who owns properties, Are you really going to vote for the government that actually made your assets come down in price? No, and that's kind of the problem right now. The incentive is structured very poorly. So that's kind of my 2 cents on what's happening in the federal budget. Is this really going to impact the current real estate market right now in the spring market? Probably not. Is it going to provide some kind of like incentive or stimulation in the market? Maybe, because the first time home savings account, FHSA, is implemented effective April 1st, which was on Saturday, right? So a lot of people can contribute to that $8,000 right now. Is it going to move the needle in Toronto real estate? Probably not. Is it going to help some people get into the market, effectively like a minor demand stimulant? Absolutely. And are we still not getting enough listings right now? Absolutely, yeah. Anyways, if you're looking for some help on how to navigate the real estate market for your personal situation and whether it's the right time to buy, sell, or invest, you can book a call with me using the link right here. It's www.chatwithzen.com. Until next time, your move, your future. See ya! Now that I'm done watching this video, I think you should check out this video. And you know what? Why don't you check out this video too?